Could you share more about the process of translating a hand-painted art into a video game? And yes, of course, I can talk about that. It's a pleasure just to talk, just to be asked this question. Unleaving is a hand-painted puzzle platformer that takes player into an imaginary world as if stepping into a living painting. And just like any living painting, it starts with capturing emotion, what emotions you want to capture. And as Paul Cézanne said, work which did not begin in emotion is not art. And everything with Unleaving starts with emotions. And as a game developer, the color palette you have to decide on the color palette with any game, and color is one of the most powerful tool a game dev has. And Unleaving colors just chosen to reflect certain emotion. Always start with colors. Colors is just the beginning of everything, and just to reflect certain emotions. And with emotions, everything else starts. Like the choosing the mechanics, choosing the art style, choosing everything else. So with this one, as you can see in the video, like here, and just like explained, everything starts with color and trying to capture certain emotion. Here we had a concept of a sun scene, a scene um, that feels very inviting and warm, and at the same time, it's with an unleavened world. So it's you have just to think about the context. You're in an unleavened world, but you're just going through this period, this surreal moment. It's a very experiential moment, and just like um, this is like the natural feeling just to go after like yellow, orange, and capturing the essence of a sun and the essence of this warm scene, and being in a cotton field, like a fluffy cotton field, and just capturing the colors of it. And so just starting, everything starts with experimenting with different color palettes. And usually I go with, like I'm showing here in this picture, showing only four, but usually it can go to up to as many as it takes just to get to a feeling that feels right. And actually, with this color scene specifically, I think we have visited over like 4 times from the start of prototype till up to now. Every like 6 months or so, we just go back and just changing the color as the story matures, as the our understanding of this world matures. And I have this color palette you can see over there. That's the Unleaving color palette, and it took a long time just to get it to mature and just to arrive at a certain place. And then after arriving at a place where it felt right to the world, then I start embracing the colors in each scene. Even if you don't see it in a literal sense, then it's just somewhere as an underpainted, or it's represented somewhere just to make you feel that you're living in a believable world. And that's the thing with creating a video game. You're not just making a series of painting. You're making a whole world that has to be related. It has to feel like you're living in this surreal world, surreal experience, a world that invites you to be curious, to explore, and this has to be on every bit and in every aspect of it, especially color. Color is very powerful. And with Unleaving, here in the sun scene, I started with more like on the yellow and orange, and then I started to lean more towards the color as you see on this tile that I'm painting at the moment. For some reason, I just felt right that just to incorporate some of the characters' features and colors, and some of Unleaving's previous sky that we've seen, it felt right about combining the two. At the beginning, it felt like a little bit maybe too far-fetched, but it just felt like just to still embrace the darkness side of the game with the lightness of the sun, and just combine it. You can't just exist without the other. And Unleaving is all about um, embracing two opposites. And this is one of the scenes where it's kind of felt right to embrace the darkness and the lightness in the same level, with using some of the features of the color itself of the character. So I'm settling on with this. Here I'm settling on this color palette, and then after this color palette, I'm just going to take it to the next step where And as it's felt right, like it wasn't, we haven't arrived on this one from the first trial. As I mentioned, it just took a number of trials in space of months or even a year just to keep maturing it, keep revisiting, and just keep being having this as kind of a child in a way, just to be curious and just looking at things with fresh perspective every time. And as the story, as the art matures throughout the level, I always kind of go back to the beginning and just revisit. Does this feel a believable world? Does this feel like a whole connected world and going through different themes? And even if we cover in different themes, but we still have to make it like as connected, a holistic, believable world of a video game. And probably one of the most challenging was the biggest challenges was just to settle on a color because it's very traditional and it's very physical. And sometimes, like the supplies, like I can't, like I will go to a shop and then just try to look for a certain color and then I wouldn't find it. Then I have just kind of to ask people how I can mix it to come up with the same color. That's one of the issues I ran into. Just moving on after choose settling on a color. Now I'm just expanding it even more just to experimenting with that color palette that I chose. And here you can see that the setup is like four different tiles. In every setup, I always kind of go for a number of tiles because that would increase efficiency, that would increase the productivity instead of just trying things on a big painting. Just trying it on a small one and try so many different ones just to make sure that the combination would work of the combination of colors. And here again, like I'm adding the another layer of and I'm adding a layer of the ground, and you can see there's a difference between the atmospheric ground, which goes in like in a more moody atmospheric feel, and this ground, which is um, it's a very different. With this one is a little bit kind of circular because it's like a cotton field, but in usually it's a very horizontal line, and I'm emphasizing that it's horizontal line. So it's kind of trying to marry the two different opposites of a very big brushes of atmospheric background, just to get the player just to feel and to wonder and just to immerse themselves in this environment with the ground that's kind of different and textured. And there is something about art physically exists and the texture of the art. It just feels grounding in a way, meditative as well, just looking at it. And that's the emotions that I just had in mind all the time, just to capture these feelings and just how to bring it to life. And here at this point as well, just just staying curious with how each tile will interact with each other, the colors, the texture, and the elements of the scene. And from this moment onward, if everything works fine, then we can just kind of send um, the other like interactable elements to our graphite artist. His name is Jason in Vancouver. So we just kind of send him that bit if everything works together. And I'm painting the concepts, you'll see more and more elements. I'm gonna record it to a certain extent, just to show you um, there is like this kind of whole there is a whole painting a concept level, but then at the production level, then you have to kind of break it down to the smallest component and just we paint it or draw it separately, and then just kind of put it back together again in using Unity Engine, and just put it back together again. As you can see here, it's very atmospheric, and the ground is clear cut, and actually we did that on purpose. We just chose that to ground this atmospheric ground. Then we have just kind of to use this beautiful clear cut of a puzzle platformer because we didn't want to compromise the genre of puzzle platformer. Actually, we want to just show it and be proud of it because that's what we love. That's what we're doing. Here I'm just adding a little bit more details, like the sun. I'm just making it in a very abstract way at this point, just to see how everything kind of interacts together, how everything feels. And of course, that's one of the steps of making a hand painting art and translate it into a video game. Just literally making it physically exist and physically work together. And then you would break it down, make it again, and then stitch it back together in your engine. And it's not the other way around. Like I tried the other way around when I make small components, and then kind of from that point, things just scrambled. It just didn't work, and that process just took a long, long path of trials, and I won't say errors because I don't. I believe errors is just such a defined word, and it wouldn't fit into this context. And yeah, so here you have this unseen. And then moving on to just zooming in one area here, I'm zooming in onto the ground just to show you how texture is actually really important and just adding layers and layers of texture. And obviously using any medium as traditional art, it just takes a while for the medium to dry out. And sometimes I have just to wait a little bit, then I just kind of add in more and more layers, and always reference the concept just um, to see how the concept looked, because with the concept you have like a whole painting, but so once you start painting in segments, sometimes just you can easily forget what it looks like. But that I have to keep reminding myself of the concept. I have to keep reminding myself of the feeling we want to capture, and also it's just as a whole, I have to keep reminding myself as what's Unleaving and what emotions it wants to capture. Just keeping that in mind. Also keeping in mind that it's a game and there's the level design element of it, and just and not to compromise. It's it's a video game first. Now I'm getting to the end of the show answering the question. It's such a beautiful question, but I try to make it as concise as possible without going to too much. But just to show you a little bit about the process of translating a hand painted art into a video game, there's so many layers to consider. Just to recap, then we visited emotions, colors, and very important rules of level designs, and keeping in mind that just you have to just have the right collaborations as well, like the right collaborators that just help you just to enable and increase the possibility of making this to a more believable world. And like I went through so many phases of almost like kind of giving up because this is maybe too difficult, this is impossible. But then just having the right people by my side as collaborators, it just was really important. And also just being um, the spirit of unleaving, having the spirit of unleaving, which is like curiosity and exploring. And every time like I wanted to give up or something, and then I just remember like I'm making this world, just like staying curious, staying just exploring, and just question my own perception, question my own uh, thinking, and then in a way that kind of got me through it, just truly believing in it. So I'm reaching towards the end. I hope you enjoyed just looking um, more in depth through the the process. And I invite you to try the demo of Unleaving, and I invite you also to just pause, think, and enjoy the experience of introspection. And just I hope it will enable you just to immerse yourself in this world. It's done with pure labor of love. And thank you for sticking around.